today we are going to be discussing Surah 56, and it is the inevitable. And how do you pronounce this surah? Because I think I pronounce it wrong.
Al-Waq'iah. Al-Waq'iah.
Al-Waq'iah? Is that it?
Does anyone know like the proper?
The Arabic.
I guess
Waqi'ah.
It's Surah Al-Waq'i'ah.
Waqi'ah. Okay.
Waqi'ah.
Yeah, Waqi'ah.
Yeah, Waqi'ah.
Waqi'ah.
Okay, so I did some research on the surah, and I heard that it was beneficial for success in like your business and success in anything that you're struggling with that you want, if you want to like make money. And I think that was like the main benefit that I read on the surah. I don't know if you guys got anything else out of it before we dive into
Yeah, if you want to make money, yes, every day after Maghrib prayers, you read the surah. You recite this.
I didn't know it was after Maghrib. Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I did hear that.
Charmaine, do you think that the connection there is because I noticed that there was the constant mention about provisions and what he has provided you with, and how can you deny it?
Yes, this thing.
Yeah, like a reoccurring theme. Yeah, I noticed that too, and I noticed there was a lot about your like the different ranks of like on the day of judgment, and when you go to heaven, like some like those that are forward are closer to Allah than to the left, to the right. Like I noticed that was also a reoccurring theme. Also, it kind of reminded me of like the repetitiveness of Surah Al-Rahman, but instead of like the constant repetitiveness, it was like
gosh,
right.
That's what I felt. Repetitiveness of Surah Al-Rahman.
Yeah, I felt the same way, like how it was like beautifully, like immediately after Surah Rahman, this surah came up, because it was like kind of like re-emphasizing, because
yes.
Yeah, because another word for the event is Judgment Day, or the Day of Judgment. So it starts off by basically, again, similar to Surah Rahman, it talks specifics about what's going to happen for the believers versus the non-believers. The difference in this one is that, like you said, there's different ranks. I think it's 3 groups that Allah is going to separate all the people. So there's going to be 2 groups that are that's going to go to paradise, and then there's going to be 1 group that's considered the non-believers. Except that the 2 groups that are going to be sent to paradise, 1 group is going to be at a higher rank because they're going to be the most favorite of Allah's.
Right, group right, left, and 1 forward.
Yes.
3 groups.
Yeah. So I found it very interesting that it, like, again, it talks about, you know, the fruits in paradise. It talks about the
very descriptive.
Very descriptive. The couch, again, the woman, fair woman with beautiful big eyes. It talks about women being virgins, that they're not going to bear children, that it's just going to be, you know, just like young women of all, like we're all going to be the same age, which is very interesting. Yeah. My commentary says that the ages of the people to paradise are between ages 30 and 33, which I found very interesting. I don't know if you guys,
yes, 30, 33, yep.
That is.
I wish I could go back to 33.
It's very interesting because, you know, like someone told me this years ago, and I was like 22 or something, maybe even younger. They looked at me, they're like, I can't wait until you're 30. And I'm like, whatever, you know, like, you know, attitude, you know, all that, like, whatever. They're like, it's going to be the best year of your life. And I swear to you all who are still under 30, 30 is going to be the best year of your entire life. And it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to win the lotto or you're going to get that job that you always dreamed of. I think 30 is that year when you finally become one with yourself. Like you really accept who you are. It's like, it's not the attitude, it's not accepting your flaws, but recognizing the beauty of yourself and embracing it and letting it shine. Like you're just allowing the best version of yourself to flourish. And I felt that at 30. So my message is always to the young ones is like, wait until you're 30. And so far, like I've seen my brother like get engaged at 30. I've seen like my sister be, get married at 30. So I'm like, I'm telling you, 30 is going to be the best year of your life. So when I read this and it's just like, wow, like really I don't know anyone, like if any of you who are 30 or older, I'm not going to say between 33 because I passed that as well. But I'm saying anyone who's 30 and older, like, don't you feel like life is so much more, like you're much more content and acceptant? And even when probably most of us is like, we became even closer to God at that age versus like
Absolutely.
21.
Yes.
It's
More
when
meaning-
you find peace with who you are and where you want to go, you find clarity. And I thought, Aqua, you had said there's a special age. Was it 30 or 34?
Well, they say that like,
first...
well, like for example, the frontal cortex, anywhere like between 30 and 40, it's more formed. Your judgment becomes more clear. You're more receptive to receive feedback. My dad used to say to us when we were younger, he said, don't get married until you're 30. I said, well, isn't that old? And he's just like, because I did get married very young. And he's like, no, it's not. He goes, because by then you will have your career established. You will have a better understanding of yourself and what you want instead of going out there, all in the clouds, you're more put together. You're not complete, but you're more put together. You're more sound of mind, and you're just more established with yourself as an individual. Right. Because how do you have anything to offer someone if you don't even know yourself?
Exactly.
Pretty much.
That's true.
Very true.
Yeah, that's when I finished the entire Quran, which is so weird. It was when I was 30. It was literally when I was 30. And then in 2021 was when we started the Quran study, and I was 31. And actually I was 30 turning 31. So yeah, that's wild that you said that, because I didn't even notice like the trend of that. But that's when I got closer to my faith. I found more of myself. I think even my parents accepted me too, like, because they just realized that I just became like set in my ways as a woman, and they accepted my truth. So I think that was also the transition between like in my 20s and 30s that I was able to like finally get along with them.
And I think
it's
also,
interesting you say that.
Yeah.
Sorry, you say my parents accepted me.
Yeah,
I can see that, but at the same time, don't you think it's also in your 30s and when you make peace and you start to see how like you accept your parents as well?
yes.
Growing up, you're like, it's when you're like, oh, I don't blame my parents for anything. They did the best. It's like you find peace even with your faults in your parents that you may have
I
never
think
seen it. It's like
at that
ultimately.
age is when you actually realize that everything your parents have been telling you not to do and when to do it, that's when it hits you. You're like, oh my gosh, I should have listened to my mom. Now I know why she told me this. Now I know why that's when all these things start making sense. Everything meshes, and it's that's when you start to get along with your parents. I think that's when you really have I'm with my kids, I think between the ages of 20 and 26, I didn't even want to look at them, because all I wanted to do was grab them by the neck, just to smack some sense into them. But after a while, you kind of like, and now that they're in their 30s, I realize, we get along so well now. Like, I have a really good relationship with my daughter, who's actually 32, and she is so grounded now compared to 12 years ago. It's unbelievable. It's night and day. And she even realizes these things now. Like, she says, Mom, remember when you told me when I was like 24 not to do this and this and this, and I didn't listen? Well, guess what? And I'm like, don't even tell me. But you get that. It's I think that's I think that's just like a fact of life. I don't know, I guess, because I mean, it's happened to me, and I love my kids now. I have it's like a great adult relationship. You cherish it more. It's like another phase of motherhood.
Yeah, and you see when
everything
you said
comes in stages, right?
Yeah.
Everything
Yes, it does.
And when
Super.
you said, I like how you said relationship, because when I go back to think about heaven, right? And you said the word grounded, which because I was a spicy little one. I was too sassy.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm shocked at myself. I was like, why am I so calm? But when I think of heaven, I think that's the point, right? Like we're all the same age, we're all grounded, that we're able to make relationships. Like we're just zen, if that makes any sense. But what I like
Love that.
about this as well is just that I think the fact, like even just like a little commentary, like, okay, they say that, everybody's going to be the same age between 30 and 33. I like this because it gives hope to the young girls who are in their 20s, who have, done so much that they think God doesn't love them anymore, or they kind of like,
Yep.
they don't feel worthy of God's love and so on. So I think this is beautiful because it says, you know what? I get it. But, don't give up. Like, I don't want this to be an excuse for you to continue to act up, because that's not what repenting is about. But it gives those who are, questioning, because I've seen a lot of young women in their 20s. I mean, even I at one point, that's like, you kind of feel like you're not worthy of love from your parents or from God. So you kind of stray away from your religion.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I've been
you
there.
know yeah, so it's good to see that, like the Quran is a constant like reminder of not just like, yeah, there's punishment, but constant reminder of constant love, like forever love, infinity, an infinite amount of love from Allah. So just like, don't give up, just continue going and believe and have hope. So I don't know, I really enjoyed reading this surah.
And I
Yeah,
think
it
the
is.
one thing that came to my mind too was that when you mentioned the youth, like our young women, is that no effort that you are making towards Allah and towards a better version of who you are is futile. That key
Exactly.
word, it is not futile. Even if it's just a small little, effort, that's something. Maybe in the eyes of the creation, they don't see it as much. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is seeing it beyond that. He takes that small morsel of, that small effort that you're making, and it means a lot to him because you're striving.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
and I've had girls like reach out to me like because when I was pretty authentic with my journey. Like I would just post like on my stories, and like I have a very extroverted personality. So I think a lot of girls would ask me, they would come to me to be like, I feel guilty about this, or I feel guilty about this. And I tell them honestly, the guilt that you're feeling is just Allah calling you, and don't ignore the voice. And because the more I used to try to ignore it, and like that guilty feeling, the louder it became, until I couldn't turn my back from it anymore. And even when I would find myself straying, or I would like, it's like a tug of war, like pull, pull and push. It's like I realize that this is my safe place, this is where I'm meant to be. And I'm like, go through what you're going right now, but there's gonna come a time that you're not going to be able to ignore it anymore. But don't be mean to yourself about it, because Allah doesn't want you to be mean to yourself. And don't listen to what anyone says either, because if you were not worthy, you wouldn't be feeling those feelings.
Exactly.
And don't let guilt put you in a place of shame, because shame is shaitan. When he gets you in that pool of shame, because it's okay to feel a little guilty, it's okay to feel remorse, but if you're going to a place where you're constantly feeling shamed, that is shaitan, because he's telling you, why is it worth it? Why even try? Why even take a step forward? He's just going to put you in hellfire, Jahannam this, Jahannam that. You can't think like that. That's just shaitan whispering. That's that was, right?
And then when you think like that, like, oh, whatever, I'm gonna go to hell anyway, so F it. I'm just gonna continue doing what I'm doing. So I'm just like a rabbit hole. You just keep going further and further down, which makes it like a little harder and harder to get back where, that feeling of peace again. So I'm with you on that, Aqua.
And
It's
you know
funny
what's
because
harder? Sorry, salam
oh,
everyone.
go ahead.
And you know what's harder is when you don't have a friends that are Muslim, when you're such a young like lady in a way, you're so surrounded by like a lot of like half of my friends are like Christians. So it's like so hard to, I'm not saying that I was away from my religion. I was always in my religion, but I saw myself going to that path but I would always come back to the Islam. Or it's just so hard when you don't have Muslim friends. It makes it a lot harder, you know?
And
I actually think that that occurs a lot with Muslimin. A lot of people feel like they have a double personality or double life, and they don't really fit in a certain area. So having a community and having friends within the community is really important.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm never saying
Absolutely.
yeah, it's normal. But it just like now that as I'm getting older, I just want peace. I just want nothing to do with nothing anymore. Now that I wear hijab, I ended up wearing hijab this Eid. So it was
Oh,
just like really
congratulations.
thank you. So
Congrats.
congratulations. Thank you. So just like now I have a daughter, I just want to be like a role model for her. So thank you. So it was just how it is now.
And I think, Amina, you know, what I think, so my first Muslim friend ever was Zina. You guys know her. And I was like 26 years old. Muslim Arab, 26, 27. Okay. I have never had a Muslim or Arab friend. I'm a New Yorker, been a New Yorker my entire life, and I was surrounded by different religions and cultures except for Arabs and Muslim. Never had an Arab, so I don't even, you know, you would think the opposite. But and I had to remind myself, I mean, because I completely understand what you're saying when it's like, well, it's really, really hard because you have so many influence and then you become an outcast because there's your soul is telling you this is not who you really are. So you kind of have like this peer pressure just to make friends and to be accepted by the people around you. But what I have come to learn is that because I'm in the position that I'm in, every little will go 10 times more further
Yeah.
because of
Yeah,
my
for sure.
surroundings.
Yeah,
So that's
but
why,
alhamdulillah, none of my friends pressured me or anything. I was always into my religion and my culture and tradition and all that.
exactly,
It was just
exactly.
that's what's one thing, but it was just like I always wished I had more Arab or
Yeah.
Muslim friends that would understand where I'm coming from. Like if I miss a day because it's Eid, they would understand. Like I don't have to like keep telling them, oh, we fast from this day, because they're not gonna understand it as much and they're not gonna get it. So
another
Yeah.
thing too, because I have like a very diverse group of friends as well. When I was going through my transition, like with getting closer with my faith, and I wasn't going out so much to the same places they were going, or I was just a little more cautious about my surroundings because I knew what would trigger me to influence me to do certain things and or be in certain places. Your true friends, whether they're Christian or Muslim or not, are going to support you and they will
Yes.
stick around.
They will
Yes.
respect
Even
that.
because they really
Definitely.
love you, yeah, they will respect it. And the ones that don't, you'll notice that it will hurt. It's like a breakup. Like you will miss
Right.
them. It's like you're going your separate ways, but it's just you don't align with them anymore. Because if someone is your true
Exactly.
friend, regardless of their faith or like their practice or their religion, they will not influence you to do anything that made you a worse version of yourself. Because
That's so true.
so that's one thing
Mhm.
that I learned on my journey. And then it was weirder for me because like the Muslim friends I had started to become the bad influence. And I was like, where is this going wrong?
Gigi, I'm gonna say something. My best friend is Jewish,
Okay.
and every Ramadan we've been friends over 15 years, and every Ramadan she break fast with me in my house. Every Ramadan, at least one. So
That's
yeah,
nice.
this is she support me, and I fast every Mondays and Thursdays.
Mhm.
So
Mm.
when she make plans to go out, we go out every once in a month. So she makes sure that it's not Mondays or Thursdays because I
Yeah.
so
fast those
lovely,
days.
Charmin.
Yeah,
That's
because
so
they
nice to
do
hear.
that. Yeah,
Yes.
definitely.
So like you said, whoever truly your friend, they will, would never say that.
Yeah.
It's
And
funny
Because
that
they
it's
love
funny,
you.
yeah,
Yeah,
that you
because
say
they love
that.
you. Yeah.
They love you, yeah.
They
if
love
you
you.
wear
My
hijab,
best friend
Because
I've had for over 30 years, and she's a Hindu. For
Hindu,
over
okay.
30 years. And like recently she wanted to meet up, she was in Seattle for a conference, and I told her, unfortunately, I'm in the last 10 days of Ramadan. We haven't seen each other in years, but she got it and she respected it and didn't cross
Beautiful.
those lines, and
Exactly.
I've known her since high school. My grandma used to say something to me. She said, "You will be lucky if you leave high school with one friend. Life will test you." And she goes, "Make sure you test your friends.
Yeah.
Test
Exactly.
them."
It's funny because as you get older, you know, all you young ladies are gonna go and you're gonna see how your circle of friends gets smaller and smaller as you get older. And the ones that really, really, it could be like Aqua's friend. She could be a Hindu, she could be a Jewish person, a Christian. It doesn't even matter as long as they love you and they cherish, they see the good that you're doing with yourself
Right.
and how it makes you feel, and they see the light in the change in you, that it's a good change. They will respect it and they will respect all the boundaries. But like I said, I used to be social butterfly in my 20s, my 30s, even with my kids when they were smaller. And now in my old age, I have maybe 5 friends that that will really listen to me, that they respect, you know, what I say, what I do, what I don't want to do, you know, all these things. And this journey for me has been very eye-opening this last year. So, and they've been really patient with that. They even asked me, you know, what are you doing? How's it going? You know, and I love that. I love that for them because I have an outlet, not only with you girls, but I have an outlet with them, which is something personal, you know? And
Right.
it's a really good feeling. So you'll see that though. And those are the ones that you have to cherish, really.
Yeah.
You're right.
And
Yeah.
I think that's something too that is repetitive in the Quran when it talks about, like, you know, you're like people that lead people astray, or someone that, like, you know, Allah will question them and ask them, like, you know. So I think it just goes hand in hand, because if someone is just has good morals, they're not going to lead you astray from what your beliefs are. You know what I mean? Like, I respect everyone's beliefs, and I never tried to like preach religion because it's just not who I am. So I always felt like I attracted that type of energy around me. And if they weren't that type of energy, then that's not who I wanted to be around, because I'm not here to change anyone or lead anyone astray. So I want that reciprocated towards me as well. Because one thing about this surah that I noticed is that at the day of judgment, when you're separated, you're like, it's one man for himself. Like, you're basically like, you're going to be questioned about everything that you've done. You're the one that's going to have to face Allah. You're the one that's, what you did in this life depicts what realm you're basically placed in.
You're on your own on the day of judgment. Only you can speak for yourself. You're not going to have anybody to defend you, anybody to speak on your behalf. And I think you touched upon an important aspect in Islam. Even in the Quran, it says that you're not to force people into Islam. Even the Prophet Muhammad respected other religions and had peace treaties with Christians, and they respected each other, and he never forced anybody into the religion. They had to, you know, with their own hearts and their own free will, want to be Muslims.
Yeah, but
so that's an important aspect.
Yeah, we don't force, but we have to do dawah. We have to talk about it. That's our duty.
There's a difference between force and convincing someone by force, instead of, you know, informing them, knowledge, you know, sharing with them, you know, options and so on, educating. And these people have to be open, right? They have to be open and receptive and have that free will to want to, you know, receive new messages and so on.
Sometimes the best of dawah though is, sometimes I feel that we have this perception that dawah is kind of just, you know, preaching what is from the Quran, the hadith. Sometimes, and if we look at Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, sometimes the best of dawah is exemplifying your character.
Absolutely.
Giving people the best of your character. Wallahi.
Yes. You took it right from my mind.
Exactly.
Yeah, because it'll make them curious. Like, what makes her or him do this? Well, Islam. My love for Allah.
You are the ambassador. You have to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's it.
I agree. I agree with you 100%, Sarah, Aqua. It's not really like you can educate, but like it's not the
Give the
best. The
knowledge.
best
Yep.
ways to educate is be that example. 100%.
Exactly. Yep.
I was in a relationship. I mean, I can go on about my life, but I was really close to someone who was
Omnia, you
Christian,
and me
and one
both.
day, yeah, I'm just like, ooh, I can write stories. But they asked me something, right? This person is Christian, but they were never religious. Like everything you can think of, like that could go against their religion themselves was like they were just rebel, right? But I stand strong with my religion. I would pray wherever I am to the best of my ability. I would do dua to the best of my ability. It doesn't matter where or who I'm around. I'm going to continue to be the best Muslim of myself because that's something for me. Because
Yeah.
so one day they asked, you know how like, you know, you do your prayer and then I like to give like a dua like at the end of the prayer. They asked me one day, they said, when you're on your knees and you have your hands facing your face, what are you doing? What are you saying? Are you talking to God? I said, absolutely, I'm talking to God. You talk to God? I'm like, yes, I talk to God. People are afraid to talk to God. There's there's people who are just like, yeah, there's a God, there's a God, there's a God, there's a God. But it kind of hurt me because I felt like this person was just so shameful of themselves subconsciously that they felt like they weren't worthy enough to just sit there and have a conversation to God. Like obviously I do like Surah Al-Falaq, Surah Al-Nas, whatever surah that I memorized
Yeah.
to kind of like protection and so on. But I'm still, it's a form of speaking to God, right? Because I'm done with my prayer and I'm just doing additional dua on top of my prayers.
Yeah.
I cannot tell you how this person transitioned. I've never forced Islam or anything like that. The person did not convert into or revert into Islam, but the person started going to church.
SubhanAllah.
Right.
And they told me, they're like, you know, you're just, how do you have this relationship with God? You're so peaceful there. Is it the relationship that you have with God that makes you who you are, the light that you radiate around people? And I said, I don't know. I don't know. But so what I'm trying to say is like I'm with Aqua in terms of like, you know, set the example because that's the best way. You do, because Sayyidina Muhammad, peace be upon him, people followed him. They followed his way of life. He was preaching, but he was preaching what God told him to do, but he wasn't forcing anyone. He didn't mandate a class every morning at 7 o'clock in the morning, said, you have to come, you have to come, you have to do this, you have to do this. He said, listen, I respect your religion. I recognize your religion, but can I help you understand the completion of your religion? Because this is the final chapter of your religion. And if you want to hear, if you want to participate, participate. But if you don't, by all means, I completely understand. And how what Sarah said, Sayyidina Muhammad, peace be upon him, he had peace treaties. I think one of the biggest known peace treaty that he had was with Ethiopia when he was outcasted from his own tribe and he needed to flee. He needed to flee with his people. And he went to Ethiopia, and Ethiopia said, I think it's Ethiopia, if I'm not mistaken. Ethiopia said, yes, by all means, not only we will accept you, we just ask that, you know, you allow us to continue, like, don't interfere with our religion. And Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, by all means, I don't mean to interfere. I just want, you know, me and my people to live in peace. And sure enough, not only the Ethiopian allowed them to stay in their community, but they protected Sayyidina Muhammad and his people.
Yeah.
And that's
it
how
went both
this
ways.
is how,
Both ways.
yes, and that's how it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be like you're a good person. It's your heart, because again, Islam people don't. A lot of people don't know this, especially the older generation. It's like Islam is what's in the heart. If you're a beautiful person, deep down inside, you believe that there's one Allah and one Creator. Then that's really the core of all religion, is to understand that there's just one Creator.
One Creator.
And one Creator, and you will be sent to this Creator. You will be resurrected on Judgment Day, and you will be questioned. That's where it all begins.
Omnia, I think sometimes with people, especially when you're talking about specifically like Christianity, because my mom's a Christian, but she was raised Catholic. A lot of that is indoctrination that you cannot get to God if you don't go through this person. Now in Islam, is there intercession? There will be intercession that will be allowed. However, we are not prohibited or inhibited to go to the Creator directly.
Yeah.
I go to him directly.
Love it.
You know,
There's
and
no portal.
Yeah. So I think it's the indoctrination. Like, for example, for a lot of Catholics, you know, you have to go confess your sins to who? A priest.
I don't agree with that. Yeah.
Who's a human?
Right. Like
Yeah.
what, I mean, I get where they're coming from, but I mean, at the same token, it's just like, okay, let's take a step back, you know, like who ordained or created the person that I'm going to in this box, you know?
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
I was just gonna say, Aqua, one thing
It's the
that I
whole way
love-
of thinking.
Okay,
Go
yeah.
ahead, Zizi.
No, I was just gonna say that one thing that I love about Islam is that, like, I've always constantly heard religious speakers say, like, you don't owe anyone an explanation. The only person, like, you need to confess your sins to or speak to or ask for forgiveness is Allah. Like, it's even
Allah,
haram
yeah.
for you to tell another person, like, you can vent obviously to your friend, whatever, but it's even like haram for you to even do that because it's not their business. Like, Allah's
Right.
just
Exactly.
between me and you.
You should not, and that's what we are like told from Islam. We should not confess to anyone, because if we do that in resurrection day, when we'll keep witness for ourselves, if we
Mhm.
share, you know, so we should not only share with Allah.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
He's the
Exactly.
only one who can
someone
forgive
else-
it. He's the forgive it. Ghafur, you know, like
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
I think
Yeah.
forgiveness has a lot to do with ourselves too. Like, you want to, like, you know, you want to forgive yourself, because usually when you're asking for forgiveness, it's because you feel like you did something that was either hurt someone, hurt yourself, and you want, you know, it's like you want remorse for it, and like that's what forgiveness is for. So Allah, like, makes it simpler and easier for you by you just praying to Allah and asking for forgiveness and figuring out what you did wrong and what you can do to be better. But humans, you know, a human could make you feel guilty for the rest of your life. A human could make you, like, even if it's something you did towards yourself, it could be like, Allah's never gonna forgive you, you know, and then you're just gonna
Yes.
live with that in your
The
brain.
drama.
Can I
Yes.
ask everyone a question?
Yeah.
Sure.
If I did
Yes.
something very, very horrible to any of you, right? And I'm thinking about it and I feel very shameful and so on. And then I call Zizi and I'm like, Zizi, I don't feel good about what I did. I did A, B, C, and D. Can you do me a favor, Zizi? Can you go back to Aqua and tell Aqua that I'm sorry?
It's like, just do
How
it.
is Aqua going to feel?
Yeah.
right.
But then that's one scenario. I could do that. I could have Zizi be the portal between me and Aqua, right? Or I can go straight to Aqua with sincerity and tears in my eyes and say, I'm sorry. Like, please, I ask you to forgive me. I know I screwed up.
Yeah.
Which one is more acceptant?
Best
Of
thing
course,
The
directly.
accountable part. The
The
accountable part.
accountable part.
So that's
Absolutely,
why
yeah.
it's like,
No,
exactly.
directly.
So it's just like, this is the difference between, like, I've been to churches because I also studied like religions and so on. And I just couldn't comprehend that. I said, I'm sorry, I'm not going to sit here and confess something that I've been beating myself about to a man. And at the end of the day, people judge you because we're humans. We're going to be like, ooh, well, I
Right.
didn't know that she did bad. Like, oh, yeah, I'm not supposed to judge. But we still have our own. Just because we don't talk about it doesn't mean that we're not thinking about it.
Thinking
right?
about it. Right.
Because we're human. That I couldn't understand. So it's just like, why would I go to an individual? And they say it's the portal to God, when I could go to God directly and pour my heart out. And I've been in situations where there was a waterfall of tears on that prayer
Yeah.
rug. And immediately after, I'm like a complete peace.
Yeah.
I can say,
I
don't you
agree.
feel lighter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The best
Yeah, if
feeling
we're
ever.
speaking about age, I'm 35, and getting into this, it's insane because I always vent to my friends, and I have a good group of friends that I vent to, and as we're getting older, people are busier, and it's like, wait, why are you not there for me? Like, and you kind of get these, like, moments in your life where you're like, I need this person to listen to me, or I need this person to be there for me. But at some point, it's like everyone is busy. And it's like, who do you turn to? And that's actually what made me even join this group and kind of like get closer to my religion, is because of like, there's only one person to turn to. And to your point, when you pray and you cry and just like, just bear everything there, it's like a relief after. Right. So it's like it brought me closer, where it's just like, yes, have grace for the people that's around you. It's okay to vent. But it's like you're always not gonna find the answers from other people. Sometimes it's between you and God, and that's where it is. That's where you have to leave it at. And I think, I thank this group, and I think just the religion itself, but it just made me closer and just not seek that from others. So
And Zizi,
that's
you
my
said
my
something
piece of it.
that's so true, Sada. Zizi, you said something really key too, like Allah forgives you, but you have to be able to forgive yourself. There's a hadith out there, and I do want to like still read up on the Sahih, portion of it. But it is said that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that they that beat themselves are not of us. As I have over the years, as I've read that more and more and more, and looked at that on a deeper level, I think about the people, and including myself at times, I've been in that place where we beat on ourselves. And it's a constant beat down that when you go to that prayer mat, when you go to that sujood, and you give Allah, whatever it is that is weighing heavy on your heart, your chest, your mind, leave it there and give it to Him and walk away from it with a positive state of mind, but don't keep carrying it with you, because your past it's not a place of residence. It is a point of reflection. If anything, take a lesson from it and keep moving forward.
Moving forward, exactly.
So that is a key thing, that you have to be able to forgive yourself, because He wants you to do that. Otherwise, you'll never be able to grow. You'll be stunted and keep reliving the same thing over and over again without any progress.
Right.
I agree.
Hi everyone. This is Haja. I actually have a point to make, because you guys are definitely making some really good points. But I definitely want to speak on disappointment. When you seek validation or acceptance or forgiveness from others, there's always going to be some sort of disappointment, because you are human at the end of the day. But when you go to Allah, there's no disappointment, because He loves you. He knows your heart. So seeking that validation, seeking that forgiveness, seeking that acceptance from Him, and sujood, you know that He will accept it, and there will be no disappointment for that. So that's always good to just go to Him whenever you're going through things.
That's right.
That's right.
That's true.
Well said. I recently read that Allah has gifted us with prayer because it's like a bath. It's like a hammam. It's a cleansing. So we have the opportunity, however times 3-5 times a day. We're supposed to pray 5 times a day. Allah has given us 5 times a day. That's a lot. 5 times a day to cleanse, release, forgive. If Allah forgives everyone, He's the most forgetful, or He's the most merciful. Forgiving. How could we not forgive ourselves? I actually struggled with forgiveness for a long time, forgiving myself and forgiving people that have hurt me. And I realized, I asked for Allah forgiveness all the time. If Allah forgives everyone, how can I not forgive these people? Who am I not to forgive them if He forgives me? And from then on, now I feel like forgiveness is like so peaceful. It's like a gift to me, because I ask myself all the time, why am I holding on to this? Allah, I cry and pray for Allah to forgive me, and I'm not willing to forgive others. That's hypocritical.
Yeah.
It's hypocritical. And then in addition to that, we have to remember that everything is Allah's creation, and Allah will deal with you the way you deal with His creation. It doesn't matter what creed it comes from, how you deal with His creation, He will deal with you. So if you embed that, in your thinking, you'll be a lot more conscientious of how you deal with people. And forgiveness doesn't mean that you have to put up with toxic BS. No,
that's right.
I can forgive you. I'm forgiving you for myself, so I can let go of the BS.
That's right.
Keep moving forward and not put myself in a state or a situation where I make dua against you.
Yes.
Yeah. You're doing it for yourself. You're doing it for your soul. Your soul needs it. So, I mean, whatever the outer, this lifetime affects your soul, just get rid of it. So you can move on. So you can continue to evolve.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, I agree.
That's one of the hadith. It says, before you go to bed, you should forgive everyone. So Allah will forgive you.
I don't know.
Yeah. I know we're past time, but our topic, just how we're ending this discussion, we didn't talk about the names of Allah, and we can save that for next time. But there's the one, it's 51, the one we're supposed to talk today, and I think it will wrap up exactly what we just talked about. The 51st name is Al-Wadud, the most loving.
Loving.
And I just want to read what it says because it's literally what we just talked about. You love us so much, even more than our mothers. Your true servants love you and love each other like brothers. Whoever has lost you has lost everything. There is no replacement for your love. Whoever you love has found everything. Mercy shower them from above.
Wow.
Oh,
That's
wow.
beautiful.
That is
Yeah.
Can you
Beautiful.
share it out? Can you take a picture of that, Sarah, and
Yeah, and send
share
it
it?
to
Yeah, and circulate
Oh,
that.
Sure.
that was really deep.
Really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I love that. Please send it.
So
and
just
send
wanted
it
to share
to
that.
us.
I will.
Okay, I'm
Thank
gonna
you.
wrap
That's
up
good.
with Ayatul Kursi, and then after Ayatul Kursi, we've just been reciting the Fatiha, and then that's how we've just been concluding the session. So I'll send the updates in the group chat. And I'll be reaching out to people throughout the next few weeks regarding the fundraiser as well. And next week we will reach our halfway mark of the Quran. It will be Surah Al-Hadid, the Iron. So that's super exciting. That's Surah 57. And I will go ahead and share my screen now and we'll do it. And let's see.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. In the name of Allah, the entirely merciful, the especially merciful. الله لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم. Allah, there is no deity except Him, the ever-living, the sustainer of all existence. لا تأخذه سنة ولا نوم. Neither drowsiness overtakes him nor sleep. له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض. To him belongs whatever is in the heavens and whatever is on earth. من ذا الذي يشفع عنده إلا بإذنه. Who is it that can intercede with him except by his permission? يعلم ما بين أيديهم وما خلفهم ولا يحيطون بشيء من علمه إلا بما شاء. He knows what is before them and what will be after them, and they encompass not a thing of his knowledge except for what he wills. وسع كرسيه السماوات والأرض. His kursi extends over the heavens and the earth. ولا يؤوده حفظهما وهو العلي العظيم. And their preservation tires him not, and he is the Most High, the Most Great.
Okay, and then if you were in tonight's session before we leave, please send me your Instagram name in the WhatsApp group chat as well. And then I'll just want to conclude and we can go ahead and start with reciting.
Gigi, you have mine, right? Do I have to send you again?
I saw it too late, the hadith of the day. I'll do it.
No, I'm saying about my
Oh,
Instagram.
yeah, no, I already have yours.
Okay.
Yeah, I have yours. But just anyone that I usually like don't remember, just send it just in case so I can tag you.
All right, thanks.
Okay, and if we can just recite the Fatiha. Okay, And I really enjoyed tonight's session. Inshallah, I'll see you guys next week, 9 p.m. time. And just stay tuned for updates in the group chat.
Inshallah.
Thank you.
Have a good
Have
night,
a good
everyone.
night.
Have
Have
a
a
good
good
night,
weekend,
everyone.
everybody.
Good
Assalamu
night.
alaikum.
Good night, everyone.
Night.